Welcome back
Welcome back
to
to
another
another
episode
episode
of the Let Me Be Frank
of the Frank
podcast.
podcast.
It is
It
December
is December
21st,
21st,
episode number
episode
27.
number 27.
Pete,
Pete,
very excited
very
to see
excited
you.
to see.
Let's get into
Let's
it.
get into it.
Let's start with the
Let's start
NFL.
with the NFL.
Bears Packers, you were on scene.
Bears Packers, you were on scene.
It was
I
supposed to be
was.
one of the coldest games in NFL history. It did not end up that cold. It was pretty chilly. The Packers.
It was pretty damn
out
cold.
to-
Don't get it twisted, Brian.
Absolutely. I mean, I was sitting here in 60-degree weather, so I can't really talk much. But Packers out to what I thought was a game over, commanding lead. 20. They scored 17 unanswered in the second half, forced 3 turnovers, I think, early in the third quarter, and I immediately turned it off, walked away to an out of nowhere text saying, "Holy shit, Bears are back." When they tied it up with about a minute left, and then Aaron Rodgers does what he does so well and throws a miracle pass 60-some yards to Jordy Nelson.
Yeah, this game was pretty wild because when me and my boy were walking into the game, we heard this huge roar of the crowd, and my buddy's like, "Oh, it got to be a Bears play." So he runs to the field to see what happened because we weren't at our seats yet, and we look at it, and it's just a huge pass play by the Packers, and he was shocked. Like, it was the first time he had ever seen such a huge amount of Packers fans at Soldier Field. It was wild.
Yeah, I mean, as a Bears fan, I think I can pretty easily say that we don't give a shit anymore. Collectively, it's just a very sad and disappointing state that we're in. It was nice to be in a game. I mean, we've been in a lot of them, but it was nice to be in that game specifically. I think the Bears should have won that game with how poorly the Packers played in the fourth quarter. That first drive of the game was just the most Packers putting the Bears down drive ever. Bears would get them to 3rd and long, 3rd and 8+, and then Aaron Rodgers would find an open receiver every time. They'd run the ball 1 or 2 times, throw a short little pass, nothing, and then all of a sudden he'd extend the field a little bit and easily complete a ball downfield to get a first down. It was vintage Rodgers against the Bears. Matt Barkley didn't look terrible. Didn't look great.
He had the most passing yards of all time for a Bears quarterback against the Packers.
Wow, that's a hell of a stat right there. I didn't even know that one, but
yeah, I was waiting to break that out.
He did have multiple turnovers, which is a problem.
Yeah.
I can't fault him for everything because the run game was essentially non-existent until the fourth quarter, and that O-line is just a hodgepodge of guys right now.
Yeah, I mean, and the Packers ran the ball on the other side. The Packers ran the ball really well. I thought Ty Montgomery looked great. I keep hearing that he's being considered for their like full-time running back next year.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no reason not to consider him. I think he gives him such versatility out of the backfield, and he's shown the ability to stay healthy. So I think that's really 2 things that Mike McCarthy wants.
I mean, if we could have Ty Montgomery and like Eddie Lacy split time at the back position, I wouldn't hate that. I mean, put Eddie in at the goal line.
Hell, run a 2 running back set in every play. Just put Rodgers out there with 2 backs and let Montgomery run a route, and he can run a read option with Lacy every time. That's a deadly offense right there.
Yeah, I mean, because they love to run that screen all the time too, and Montgomery is perfect for that.
Exactly. I think it's just another why the hell does Mike McCarthy need this in his repertoire of ridiculous things that he has. Good news for you, the Lions lost to the Giants. The NFC North is back in play, and it'll probably come down to Week 17, Lions-Packers. But going to the Giants real quick, they were just fined a total of $150,000, $100K for the team, $50,000 for Ben McAdooby, Mustache Man, for using the walkie-talkies on the sideline. I didn't even know it was happening during the game. Probably I just wasn't paying that close attention, but do you think it was that big a difference?
Like, what were they using it for exactly? Were they just like, was it going straight to like a helmet?
That's my exact point. I have no idea what they really used it for. I think I read one article that said it was McAdoo sending in plays directly to Eli Manning, And if his helmet, like if the speaker in his helmet was broken, like I don't get why that's a problem because don't they have that already?
Yeah, they should be
So
able to communicate directly in the first place.
I don't really understand it.
You think they
I don't think
changed
it
the way
really.
they talked? There's Ben McAdoo was just like, all right, Eli, run a sweep over.
That would be awesome. And
And then if the
honestly,
guy didn't
looking at Ben McAdoo, he looks like a huge walkie-talkie etiquette guy.
say, that's like a little
Like
kid's
he
dream to be
absolutely
able to talk walkie-talkie.
that really is. And he does look like the guy that would refuse to respond to you if you didn't say over at the end of your sentence.
Say over when you're over. Over.
Yeah, just like that Family Guy clip with Stewie and Brian.
Let's do a whole podcast
Uh,
talking like walkie-talkie.
Brian, I didn't get that over.
All right.
So Giants were fined. They have still continued to keep the Cowboys from clinching, despite having the best record in the NFC. It comes down to a Giants loss or a Cowboys win, I think, this week to clinch the division. Let's go to the Rams job. The Rams job still open, as we know. Jeff 500 Fisher was fired last week. In Pete, you've got a couple names that people that are being considered for the job. One specifically that we are all very excited about.
I have the name, Mr. John Gruden. The Rams are moving forward with interviewing him. And I can't. Do you think when John Gruden goes into an interview, he flips it around on them and starts interviewing the team, like he did in those quarterback coaching videos?
I'd like to think he brings his own game film and starts breaking it down for them as his interview. And he's just like, you see right there, that's what you got to shoot the A gap. Instead of running a stint to the outside, you got to shoot the A gap. That would be probably the best thing. And then I think he could essentially say to every team out there, like, oh yeah, I've worked with your quarterback extensively. I've whipped him with pool noodles. Like I know exactly what he's capable of.
I can't argue with that logic, to be honest.
I'd be very excited to see John on the sideline again, but I can guarantee you it's just being used to stir up some conversation around the job.
Yeah, I'm sure he just likes being thrown in the mix. I'm sure he knows he's not getting the job.
Yeah. Would you put his chances at of actually getting that job?
20%. If the Rams hire him, I have no faith in NFL ownership.
Yeah, I would put it almost lower. I think I'd say 15%. They are considering him because he could legitimately be the best option they get, but they're hoping that there are other people out there, like maybe a Josh McDaniels type.
This recycling of previous NFL head coaches, I just don't get it. Like, just go into the college coaching ranks or go into find an assistant coach that's been at a team for over 10 years. They've got to be better than these head coaches.
I understand what you're saying. If I'm a top level college coach, though, I'm not leaving. Like, you've got security. Like, if you're a Bob Stoops, maybe he's probably a bad example after that assault video was released. But if you're a guy like Urban Meyer, why would you even care? Like, you've got lifetime coaching contract at Ohio State, essentially. So there's no reason to, risk your job. You're going to make a ton of money there anyway, so it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just to compare to the NBA, like try and find the next Eric Spoelstra or something.
Totally understandable. I agree. I think teams too often, and we'll see it again when Jeff Fisher gets hired by the Browns, which I blogged about a week or two ago. Check it out. Let me be frankblog.com. But once he's hired, it's because they know what he's capable of, and that's like a 6-10, 7-9 season.
Yeah.
And you wanted to talk about an Eagles fan who's won multiple giveaways.
Yeah. So this came up on NFL subreddit. The one Eagles fan has won their Twitter ticket giveaway 12 out of the last 24 games. So that's half of their games the last 3 seasons.
That's wildly impressive. Like, wildly impressive.
There's not a chance this dude is actually real, and it's like they can't actually be giving away tickets. This has to be like a plant.
It feels like an It's Always Sunny thing where, like Charlie keeps winning, but he doesn't know it. So they keep like letting him enter so he can win again later in the future. And he just doesn't recognize that he's actually winning. That's the only like way my
I
brain works that out.
I mean, I believe it. Maybe just I believe anything from Philly. Just there's those people over there are so dumb.
It's
Maybe
a
they just
it's
don't.
a wild place.
Maybe he's just rigging it and they have no idea.
That too. Or he knows the social media guy who makes the decisions.
That seems like the most likely thing, but I feel like he'd be fired long ago if he kept giving it to his friend.
Yeah, I don't want to use my brain like that. I think I like my original idea best, that it's an It's Always Sunny situation.
Yeah.
Last but not least in the NFL, we'll talk about the New England Patriots, who continue to express their dominance on the AFC and eventually the league. They just destroyed, dismantled, dominated the Denver Broncos. Score didn't show it, but 16-3 is pretty as or about as close as you can get to just pure dominance in the NFL. The Broncos offense is garbage. I've been saying it all year. Literally all year, I think I've been saying that. The Patriots have a really good defense for the first time in a while. And that, when I say really good, I mean elite. I think they're like one of the top 3 or 4 defenses in the league. And you just can't fuck with Tom Brady because that dude just wins.
Yeah, and I think after this win this week, not one NFL franchise has a winning record against Bill Belichick.
That guy, say what you want, whatever he does, however he talks to people, like he is good at his job. He doesn't give a shit and he finds a way to win. He has late round picks for the last 12 years and he still figures out ways to win.
He has to be completely different, like behind the scenes with his players, because there's no way I can't imagine any NFL player would respond positively to how he talks to the media.
I don't know, man. He like if you knew a legend in the game and you had a chance to like play for him, with the odd chance, like let's say 1 in 5 guys he turns into just like an absolute diamond, and then they go sign elsewhere for millions upon millions of dollars. Wouldn't you take that chance over going anywhere else? Like regardless of how he
Yeah,
talked to
but I
you?
mean, I just feel like the day to day, he just can't be that motivating. I don't know.
I can understand
They
that.
need to do
I
a
think
they need to do a hard knocks for the Patriots. I need to see what
he
he does.
he will never let that happen.
Not a
Absolutely
chance.
never.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's how you get HBO ratings up. Do a hard knocks on the Patriots.
He could make a boatload off of that.
Seriously, just tons and tons of money. We'll move on to the NCAA, where we'll talk about 2 star running backs sitting out of their respective bowl games. Christian McCaffrey announced that he will be sitting out of the Sun Bowl for Stanford, and Leonard Fournette announced he'll sit out the Citrus Bowl for LSU. Both are projected as top 5 running backs in this upcoming draft. Both have pretty polar opposite college careers in that Fournette never seemed to produce up to the hype level, and McCaffrey always overshadowed his hype level with his production. Granted, it was more all-purpose yards than anything else, which some people will say devalue his whole play because, you can return a kick for 50 yards in a game and end the game with 150 yards, and it looks way better than if you just played a regular game. So that's an argument for a different time. We'll get right into it. Pete, what do you think about these players sitting out? Do you think they have a reason to? Do you think there's a good rationale behind it? And if you were a friend or a sibling or an advisor to either of these guys, what would you say?
I think in the end they're making the right decision. I know their teammates are going to be salty towards them right now because of it, but they're doing what's best for them, and they don't owe shit to the NCAA because they're crooks. But yeah, sitting out, I feel like it's ultimately the right decision. I feel it just screws over your teammates. Makes them feel like, all right, you don't like you obviously like you think you're better than us. but like in a way they are. So
Yes, it's a real catch-22 because obviously, I wouldn't say obviously, but I think in these two guys' situations, obviously they love the universities they play for. They like the coaches and they like their teammates. So it's hard in that you're almost letting those guys down by not playing, but at the same time, you're only there because you have to be there. The NFL, you can't go straight out of high school to the NFL, and I think that's a good rule, but that's the only reason these guys aren't in the NFL already or playing football professionally somewhere else. They had to go. So in that same breath, their whole point in going to that university was to take the next step to get to the next level. And once they get the chance, there's no reason they should risk it over a worthless game, which these bowl games are essentially worthless, except for, the athletic departments making money and the sponsors who, bring the money in. But they are, in the end, making the right decision. I understand both sides of the argument where, well, you committed to play for a team and you gave them your word and you got to give them your all so long as you're physically able to. Then what's the point of not making these 4-year contracts or scholarships contracts and making them binding? Why not just do that if you think you shouldn't be able to sit out at your own will or whatever.
yeah, I mean, in the end, these athletes have made a boatload of money for these universities and the NCAA, and they haven't gotten a thing for it. So they need to they need to ensure that they're getting properly compensated for what they have already provided.
Well, I mean, they do get a free education, but I
I mean,
understand
that's
the
not
amount.
nearly what they give to the university.
Right, what they bring in is not equivalent to a free education. I get that. But to say they get nothing is a little bit of a slap in the face because I had to pay my own college tuition and I know how expensive it can be.
And to quote Cardell Jones, we didn't go here to play no school. So
That is correct. I mean, he's proving my point that they're only there because they have to be there.
yeah, I mean
Um,
they're really completely separate from students. They're just basically athletes when you're that big of an institution.
they're essentially owned by the school. They get to choose what they do, where they go, when they do it. They set them a schedule, and then they have certain blocks where they can do their own time in their classes and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I totally understand it. The life of I mean, I don't understand it as in I've done it, but I can see it and I can see where the problems are of a Division 1 athlete. NBA update. Quite a bit has happened this week. Feel free to start wherever you please.
All right, we start on a bit of a somber note here. Craig Sager, much beloved sideline reporter for TNT, finally lost his battle to leukemia this past week. There was an outpouring of heartfelt messages from the NBA community. Shaq, Ernie Johnson, um, the whole TNT crew, just basically everyone in the NBA really loved Craig, and it was a real sad sight to see. I've actually, and a lot of the NBA players came out with the Craig Sager memorial shirt for warm-ups. I actually purchased one of the shirts as well, which I think contributes to cancer research. Just lost a really great guy.
Yeah, it sucks. It was shocking when I learned the news at work. Um, I'm not a big NBA fan, but I always loved and enjoyed watching Craig Sager. I think when you have an infectious personality like his on the screen, it's going to captivate audiences that you wouldn't necessarily have brought in the first place. And I think what he did there and what he did for the game was outstanding. It sucks that he's gone, but he's got an unbelievable legacy to leave behind. And I say that hating the phrase legacy. I've talked about it many times on this show, especially with Hayes, but I just do despise talking about, oh, what's this person's legacy or what's that. But this guy truly left one behind, love of the game, love of your family. He's essentially our modern day Jim Valvano for, the younger generation that loves basketball. So it's tough to see him and a guy like Jimmy V die too young to cancer. But hopefully, they can bring in some more. They brought in a lot of fans that probably wouldn't have been fans of the game because of how personable and how energetic and passionate about the game they were.
I think one of the cool stories about Craig was that I think back in the I don't know what decade it was, but he actually kept Dennis Rodman from killing himself because he found him in a Detroit strip club and just told him like that he meant something that that people cared about him and stuff like that. So I mean that's just an awesome story that kept our man Dennis alive.
Yeah, I mean, forget the game. That's a person to person. That's a crazy thing to do, and it's an impressive thing to do to have that effect on someone at any level. So
Yeah. And on moving
people,
to a lighter note,
yeah,
Dallas Mavs owner Mark Cuban, Shark Tank, Mark Cuban. He went to high five a young fan this week, and the kid just decided to just dab on him for about a minute, and then Mark really didn't know what to do, and then kind of redeemed himself and played a little joke on the kid. But I mean, that took some big balls from this kid to just dab on a multi-billionaire.
yeah. Part of me thinks the kid didn't know who he was, and then the other part of me is like, why would he dab on just a random dude trying to give him a high five? He had to have known. So the kid's an electric factory. Terrible
Yep.
dab, but to have the balls at that young age to do that, that onions, as Bill Raftery would say, just
Yep.
onions on the kid. Love the move.
I respect it. Yeah, I love
Great
it.
video. Really good for the NBA because if this happened in the NFL, I'm sure something bad would have happened. But the
Some
NBA
kind of
seems
fine
to
would be
have,
doled out.
yeah, exactly. So the NBA seems to have really worked. I mean, the owners, everyone seems to have done better in the past few years in terms of public image. But Cuban handled it really well. He had fun with the kid and, made another joke back to him. So it was all around an awesome video. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out.
And speaking of guys getting caught in awkward situations on television, one of the guy, a lucky fan or unlucky fan, if you think about it, he got caught with his side chick on the Rockets local broadcast, and he made it blatantly obvious when the screen came to him. They both scattered from each other and made the all right look natural.
I mean, that's 2016 right there in a video. That's what our modern world is.
I mean,
Side
if the
chicks
guy,
and dudes getting caught.
if he kept cool, they would have been fine. No one would have noticed anything.
Yep. You just got to sit back. Every time the game goes to break, you either have to look down at your phone the whole time until the game starts again, or you have to sit there and just look around and act natural as if nothing's happening, just real relaxed and laid back in your seat, especially if you're there with your side chick. Like, you have to do something like that so that you don't draw any attention to yourself.
Yeah, that just unfortunate reaction from those two. Wish them the best.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a rough day in Houston for a couple people.
Yeah. And the last point I wanted to get to, I actually blogged about this on letmebefrankblog.com. The new CBA was agreed to by the league owners and the players union. And, mostly same, same old. The salary cap went up pretty substantially, but that was expected with the increase in TV money. But one interesting new law they added in was that they are not NBA players are not allowed to use trampolines, hoverboards, or guns now, which is essentially can be called the J.R. Smith clause.
Yeah, that is pretty much everything JR has ever done in his career or did this offseason. I'm amazed they didn't outlaw shirtlessness along with that because it's blatantly obvious who they're looking at in this situation.
Yeah, and another weird law they had is that the NBA agreed to pay back half of the flopping fines that they've doled out the past few years, which I don't really get, but In return for the league doing that, the players union dropped their unfair labor practice law, which I didn't even know was a lawsuit, because I guess the 2011 negotiations for their old CBA got pretty heated, and it got kind of ugly with David Stern. But I guess Adam Silver did a much better job this time around.
He seems to be able to find a middle ground pretty quickly with the players and the owners. I'm not sure how or why, but he just does it. It's I feel like them returning the flop money fines is almost like the city of Chicago having to admit that they rigged the red light cameras so that they could make like $2 million or something in the span of a few months on the red light tickets. So I feel like they're saying like, oh yeah, we know we screwed you over, so we'll just pay back like minuscule fines for it, and we'll keep whatever we brought on. Like it's a sign of good faith.
Yeah, I mean, but the fines come out to like it's like 60 grand that they're giving back, which is just peanuts compared to any salary for the NBA.
Right, especially now with like you said, the salary cap going up so substantially. It's literally nothing. Like
Yeah.
10th, 11th, 12th men on the teams are making multiple millions of dollars a year.
But a weird coincidence I wrote about is that the heads of the players union just happen to be LeBron James and Chris Paul, who have been known to flop a time or two.
Funny.
Hmm.
It's all right.
So
LeBron
yeah,
would probably donate that money back to charity or something anyways.
it's an interesting coincidence.
All right, let's move on. Top five. We were going to keep it Christmas themed, but just didn't have the firepower for it this week. We couldn't think of something good. So we're going to go with top five phrases in a Tinder or Bumble bio. This does kind of relate to Christmas in that college kids are home for breaks and the social dating apps are popping again, as the kids would say. So, Pete, let's hear your five first.
Okay. All right. I got number 5. I got the classic line. It's going down. I'm yelling Tinder tagline.
Yep. All-time classic.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot. Number 4, anything mentioning height, either their height or a guy's height, that it has to be like must be 6'3" and above, like it's a job application.
Right.
Like
You
you're like
must have.
5'7". You're like 5'7", 250. Don't tell me what kind of height I have to be.
It's like must have 3 years experience, must be 6'2" and have brown hair or something.
Must make $75,000. I'll be a stay-at-home mom. Oh, okay.
Great. Glad you got your MRS degree.
Yep. Number 3, actually 16. Don't know why it says 25. Something you
Oh
always
my
have
God.
to.
That's always, I don't know about 16, but it's always like LOL not 32. Really, whatever.
Because you always got to check that to see if the underage ones are there.
Better safe than sorry.
Yes, absolutely. Number 2, any Michael Scott quote or The Office quote.
Very, very often do you see that you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott. That's a very, very common one.
And that's right up my alley because I could quote The Office with anyone.
Absolutely.
All right, and then number 1, just their Chipotle order. Just that.
Oh, God, I've never seen that.
Really? I've seen it like 3 or 4 times.
Oh, that's miserable. I don't like Chipotle, so that's why I despise that.
Are you just not a fan of Mexican, or you just don't like the chain Mexican?
Love Mexican food. I love Mexican food. I just don't like Chipotle. I like Qdoba.
Yeah, Qdoba is unpopular opinion. Qdoba is better than Chipotle.
It is better. Thank you. All right, this is great that we could settle that right here, folks. You heard it here
Qdoba
first.
is and that was my number 1. So what do you have here?
All right, number 5 is the classic line, not here for hookups. Because what else are you here for?
What are you here for?
What do you expect? Number 4 is, I'll probably like your dog better. Or just mentioning dogs. That's a very popular one. Number 3 is, I love traveling / I'm just looking for an adventure.
I was thinking about putting that one.
Because what's an adventure that you go on? Like a guy that you just met on an app, and you're like, all right, let's go travel to Nashville or something. Sure, that seems safe. Number two, I'm the girl your mom dreams you bring home. Like I highly, highly doubt you are. I found you
That
on
seems a
an
bit
app.
narcissistic. Yeah, I don't know if I agree with
And
that one.
and number one is gym/workout enthusiast.
Oh my
Like
god, the worst.
I'd say 75 to 80% of girls out there have gym rat or like love working out, addicted to working out. Like I'm sure you are.
Hmm.
Thank you for putting that out there. And you look great wearing your two sets of gym clothes that you bought so you can Instagram in it.
Yeah, did you pop in a little video and work out for 15 minutes?
Love it, love it. Where you just do the elliptical.
All right, that
So
was a
that's our top five. Embrace
fun thing.
debate. Let us know what your favorites are. Let's hear some ladies. Tell what the five best or worst lines guys have in their
Yeah,
bios.
I'm actually really curious to hear what the top 5 lines guys have.
I just try and make up like absurd lies, like undefeated Jenga player.
Like I saw a chick who put 7'11" for height. That I
Love
thought
that.
was hilarious.
That's a really good one. We'll move on to our tweets. I have two. I don't know how many you have this week, Pete, but
I've got a couple.
all right. I'll do one, you can go, and then I'll finish up with my last one. So the first one
Actually,
I'm
no, I
going
only
to
have
do,
one.
you only have one? All right, I'll still go
Yeah.
first.
Yep.
My first is Lane Kiffin at his announcement of being head coach at Florida Atlantic was quoted saying, "To do the impossible, you must see the invisible." Lane
What?
pulling out all the stops in his fourth head coaching job now.
How is Lane Kiffin still getting head coaching jobs? He's obviously garbage at being a head coach.
Because schools like Florida Atlantic are desperate for a big name like that, and especially a guy who coached the Alabama offense to the number one scoring efficiency in the country. They think he can get some athletes from Florida, but I agree
And
with you.
also
He's just a
allegedly
horrendous head coach.
banged Nick Saban's daughter.
Allegedly, I like it, but allegedly.
Hmm.
All right, let's hear what you
My
got.
my tweet comes from Derek Bodner. I don't know who that is, but he tweeted it. Allen Iverson, during his Hall of Fame ceremony, just said that he didn't lift weights when he played because, quote, that shit was just too heavy.
That is true. That's such a good, logical reason to not do it. Just like his practice
I,
rationale. It's not a game, it's practice.
it's got to make you feel bad as like one of his opponents from back in the day. Because like this guy didn't practice, he didn't lift, he just went out and balled every day.
That's why he was my favorite player.
I wanted to have cornrows and have a ton of tattoos when I was like 9 years old. So yeah,
I had a headband because of it.
yeah, I had a
Mr. Big
sleeve.
Shot.
I had finger sleeves. Remember those things that he wore?
Oh, yeah.
I had a pair of those.
You were probably the baddest 9-year-old on the YMCA floor.
Yep.
That's what it's all about. My other tweet is the vine of Jimmy Butler talking to someone across the floor
Oh,
and
I saw
pointing
it.
to Dwayne Wade as if he was the one that they were looking for. And just the response of Gabrielle Union of the eyes emoji saying crosses Jimmy off the barbecue list.
I saw it. That's awesome.
Wild start to my Tuesday. That was awesome.
I love Gabrielle Union. She's like 5 years older than Dwayne though.
She is. Did you ever read the article in the Tribune about how her sons don't like Chicago because they can't get chicks here?
That's ridiculous.
That's a direct quote, and they're like 13 or 14 years old.
I mean, I can't knock the hustle, but
The
try
life
a
is
little bit
tough,
harder.
kids, man.
Try a little bit harder, kids.
Yeah, how about have a personality? All right.
Yeah, Jesus.
Don't just ride daddy's coattails. Stats, Pete, what do you got this week?
All right. Coming from medium.com, Chandler Parsons has more Instagram posts than points for the Grizzlies this season.
Good for him. He's a fiend on social media.
He just keeps commenting on like Instagram live videos and Periscope
Yeah.
videos, just like an insanely hyped chick's video, just saying like, show me your tits, or like, I don't
Hi.
even know. Yeah, hi, and anything.
He's all over, but I like it. You know, if you can't, it's important to put together a good body of work on and off the floor. And if you're not doing it on the floor, you've got to pick up the slack off the floor. And I think that's exactly what he's doing and thinking right now.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
Can't knock the hustle. I only have one, so what else do you have?
Greg Popovich could lose 1,082 consecutive games, and he would still have a better career win percentage than Byron Scott.
Jesus. I mean, I don't think anyone was surprised that Byron Scott did not have a good win percentage, but I didn't think Popovich was over 1,000 wins better in winning percentage terms.
Yeah, every quote that comes out this season from the Lakers is just like bashing Byron Scott, like anywhere from D'Angelo Russell's development to Nick Young actually playing decently. Just Byron Scott is an awful NBA coach.
It is true. I don't even know what to say. He's essentially the Jeff Fisher of
He's
the
worse than the Jeff Fisher,
yeah, he really is.
whatever that's called.
I don't really know. The Mark Trestman.
Maybe I could see it.
All right, mine is Patrick Kane has assisted on 33 of Artemi Panarin's 45 career goals, 23 of 30 from last season, and 10 of 15 from this season. So Kaner and the Breadman are a ridiculous duo, as if people thought that Kane and Tays couldn't get any better. Now they get to
Yeah,
throw in the Breadman.
I don't. That's a great nickname. I don't watch enough hockey to know Panarin very well, but what a great nickname.
I mean, all you really need to know is he's the Russian rookie from last season who played so well that he ended up costing us Teuvo Teravainen.
Damn. Well, good for him.
All right, and as we finish
I
up
got
every
one.
week,
I
oh
got
wait,
one
you got
more.
one more. All right, we'll cut that.
It's similar to the Greg Popovich one, but Aaron Rodgers could throw a pick on each of his next 72 passes and still have a better career passer rating than Tom Brady.
Rodgers, as you know, as the announcers infatuated over him about, is the best thrower of the football they've ever seen. Direct quote, John Lynch and Kevin Burkhardt.
I'll take it.
Infuriating to listen to that game, but you gotta put up with it because the guy's pretty damn good.
Yep. I just want to do that to piss off Tom Brady fans because they're the worst.
Sorry, Tom's gonna win another Super Bowl this year, so don't worry about it.
I don't know about that. Dak lives matter.
Now, as we finish up every week, we will go to what we're looking forward to this weekend. Pete, I will start with you. It's a big weekend coming up, so what are you looking forward to the most?
Christmas Day NBA games. After opening presents for like a half hour, I'm just gonna sit on my couch and watch basketball all day with my grandfather, who won't be able to hear anything that I say to him.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Now this is getting a little off topic, but did you think of getting him the old-fashioned hearing aid where it's like the very thin tube that turns into like
Tube.
the giant brass horn? Like that Beethoven or whichever one was deaf, Mozart or Beethoven, whichever one it was that had it.
I haven't, but I'm gonna definitely can consider it now.
That's what you should do. I suggest it highly.
You got to show
But
out.
yeah, this weekend I am looking forward to coming home. I'm coming home. Tell the world I'm coming home. About damn time. I miss it. I hate New York. But I'm also looking forward to Rutgers and Seton Hall. The rivalry is renewed. The Garden State Hardwood Classic trophy is on the line, built from a piece of the boardwalk that was destroyed in Hurricane Sandy. And I expect about a 35-point Seton Hall win. Just continue our dominance over the shittier, less important university in New Jersey.
I love it. I love the saltiness.
Yeah, so Friday night, that game happens. If we lose, I'm going to be almost inconsolable. I'll probably lose a ton of money at the casino because of that, but we're going big. We're going home. Hall by 20. That's what I'll legitimately say, and I'll take bets with people.
All right, we got it.
As always, you can find us on iTunes. We're still fixing the link after the site transition, but you can check us out at the new site and be on the lookout for some pretty exciting stuff in the next week or two in regards to apparel, merchandise,
Merch.
logo, question mark. We'll see. As always, let me be frankblog.com. Share with your friends, family, whoever you'd like to share it with. We'd love to hear what they think. Please leave reviews. Please give us tips. Please tell us anything we can do better. And we will be back next week. Let us be the first to say to you and yours, Merry Christmas.
And whatever else you celebrate. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, happy holidays.
Night, folks.